just 30 days from right now, you could be walking out to your balcony, your patio, or your kitchen windowsill and harvesting fresh, free food that you grew yourself. Not from a big elaborate garden, not from expensive equipment, just from a simple pot. And the best part? Spring is literally the perfect time to start, and most people are completely missing it. Here's a fact that stopped me cold when I first heard it. The average American family spends over $5,000 a year on groceries. $5,000. And a huge chunk of that goes toward fresh produce that you could be growing yourself, in containers, in a fraction of the space you think you need. I'm about to show you 13 of the fastest growing plants you can put in a container this spring. Plants that will give you real, actual, free food faster than you ever thought possible. Some of these are ready to harvest in as little as 3 weeks. 3 weeks. And I promise you, by the time this video ends, you are going to want to go straight to your nearest garden center or just raid your kitchen. Because spring doesn't wait, and neither should you. And real quick, if you've been telling yourself you'll start a garden someday, I need you to understand something. Someday is right now. Spring planting season is here. The window is open, and every single week you wait is another week of fresh free food you could have been eating. No more waiting, let's go. Before we dive in, tell me in the comments, have you ever tried growing food in a container before? Yes or no? And if yes, what did you grow? I want to know where everyone is starting from, because this community is about to grow something incredible together this spring. Let's kick this list off with the plant that is going to give you the fastest, most satisfying result of your entire spring garden. And that plant is lettuce. Now I know what some of you are thinking. Lettuce? Really? That's your big, exciting first plant? But hear me out. Because lettuce is not just fast, lettuce is absurdly fast. We are talking harvest ready in as little as 3 to 4 weeks from seed. In a container, on your balcony, on your windowsill, in a pot on your kitchen counter. 3 to 4 weeks. That is faster than most people's Amazon Prime orders. Here's why lettuce is the absolute perfect first container plant, especially for spring. Number 1, it loves cool weather. Spring temperatures between 45 and 65 degrees Fahrenheit are absolutely ideal for lettuce. It thrives in exactly the conditions you have right now outside your door. Number 2, lettuce has shallow roots, which means it doesn't need a deep container, a window box, a shallow pot, even a repurposed plastic storage bin with drainage holes poked in the bottom. All of these work perfectly. You simply scatter your seeds across the surface of moist potting mix. Just barely cover them with a thin layer of soil, mist gently with a spray bottle, and place in a spot that gets 4 to 6 hours of sunlight per day. That's genuinely all there is to it. And here's the thing about growing your own salad greens that nobody talks about enough. Store-bought lettuce, by the time it reaches your plate, can be anywhere from 7 to 14 days old. The nutrients are already degrading. The flavor is already fading. But lettuce you harvest yourself, scissors straight from the pot into the bowl. That is peak freshness, peak nutrition, peak flavor. There is honestly nothing like making a salad from something you grew yourself. It tastes different, it feels different, and once you experience it, you will never look at a bag of grocery store lettuce the same way again. And let's talk real numbers for a second. A bag of pre-washed salad greens at the grocery store costs anywhere from $4 to $6. A single seed packet of lettuce costs about $2, $3, and contains hundreds of seeds. Hundreds. Do that math and tell me why every single person watching this video doesn't have lettuce growing in a container right now. It makes absolutely no financial sense not to grow it. Okay, here's my question for this chapter, and I genuinely want to see the debate in the comments. What is your absolute go-to salad green? Romaine? Butterhead? Arugula? Spinach? Or are you one of those people who skip salad entirely and I need to have a serious conversation with you? Drop it below. Let's see which green wins this community. Okay, these two right here. These two plants are personally responsible for getting more people hooked on container gardening than almost anything else on this entire list. And the reason is simple. They work. Fast, reliably, every single time. And when a brand new gardener, someone who has never grown anything in their life, puts a seed or a root end in a pot, and within days see something growing, something shifts in them permanently. That feeling of, wait, I did that. I grew that. That feeling is addictive in the best possible way. And these two plants deliver that feeling faster than almost anything else you can grow in a container. 1. Radishes, ready in 22 days. Let's start with radishes, because radishes hold a record that still blows my mind every time I say it out loud. Radishes are one of the fastest maturing vegetables on the entire planet. Certain varieties like cherry belle or French breakfast are completely harvest ready in as little as 22 to 25 days from seed. 22 days, less than 3 weeks. From a tiny seed to a crisp, crunchy, fresh vegetable you can pull out of your pot and eat right there on your balcony. Growing radishes in a container is almost embarrassingly simple. You need a pot that's at least 6 inches deep. Radishes need a little room to develop underground. Fill it with loose, well-draining potting mix. Compacted soil prevents proper root development, so make sure your mix is light and airy. Plant your seeds about 1/2 inch deep and about 2 inches apart. Water gently. Place in a spot with at least 6 hours of sunlight, and then just watch what happens over the next 3 weeks. Within 5 to 7 days, you'll see the first little seedlings pushing up through the soil, and from that moment, the countdown is on. 22 days, buddy. Mark your calendar. 2. Green onions, the plant that never stops giving. Now green onions, and if you watched my last video you already know how I feel about these, but I am going to say it again because it deserves to be said every single time. Green onions are the single most low-effort, high-reward plant you can grow in a container. Full stop. No debate. End of discussion. You take the white root end, the part you were about to throw away, drop it in a glass of water on your sunniest windowsill, and within 3 to 5 days, not weeks, you have fresh green onions growing and ready to snip. The cut-and-come-again method means they just keep growing back every time you harvest them. I have had the same green onion roots growing in a glass on my kitchen windowsill for months, from scraps I almost threw away. Every single morning, I walk into my kitchen and snip fresh green onions into my eggs or my soup or my stir-fry. Every single morning. For free. That is the kind of simple, quiet abundance that container gardening brings into your life. And once you have it, you wonder how you ever lived without it. Here is something I want you to sit with for just a moment. Right now, today, somewhere in your kitchen, there is almost certainly a green onion root end either in your trash or about to go in it. And that root end could be growing fresh food for you by this time next week. Every day you don't start is a day of free food you're leaving on the table. And I genuinely care too much about this community to let that slide without saying something. Okay, I have a very important question for this chapter, and I need honest answers in the comments. Have you ever pulled something out of your garden or your container with your own hands and felt that rush, that genuine excitement of I grew this? Tell me what it was and when it happened. And if you've never felt that yet, tell me that too. Because by the end of this spring, every single person in this comment section is going to know exactly what that feeling is. I promise you that. Okay, I need to talk about these two right here. Because these are not just fast-growing container plants. These are two of the most nutrient-dense foods on the entire planet. And the fact that most Americans are either not eating enough of them or paying premium prices for them at the grocery store every single week when they could be growing both of them in a pot on their patio for almost nothing, that genuinely keeps me up at night. I'm not even joking. Spinach and kale, two superfoods, two of the easiest, coolest weather container crops you will ever grow. And both of them absolutely perfect for spring planting right now. 1. Spinach, the nutrient powerhouse that grows itself. Let's start with spinach, and I want to give you a number that I think is going to genuinely surprise you. Spinach goes from seed to first harvest in just 37 to 45 days, under 6 weeks, in a container, on your balcony or patio. And here's what makes spinach extra special for spring growing specifically. Spinach is what gardeners call a cool season crop. It absolutely thrives in the mild temperatures of early spring, between 35 and 60 degrees Fahrenheit. It can even handle a light frost without flinching, which means you can start it earlier than almost anything else on this list and get a head start on your spring harvest while everyone else is still waiting for warmer weather. Container-wise, spinach is wonderfully undemanding. A pot that's at least 6 to 8 inches deep works perfectly. Fill it with rich moisture-retaining potting mix. Spinach loves consistent moisture. Sow seeds about 1/2 inch deep and 2 inches apart. Water gently and thoroughly. Place in a spot with 4 to 6 hours of sunlight per day. And here's the harvesting tip that completely changed my spinach growing game. Don't pull the whole plant. Instead, use the cut and come again method. Harvest the outer leaves first, leaving the inner growing center completely intact. Do this, and your spinach plant will keep producing fresh leaves for weeks and weeks before it eventually bolts in the summer heat. 1 pot of spinach. Weeks of continuous harvests. From a $2 seed packet. I mean, come on, 2. Kale. The toughest, most generous plant you'll ever grow. Now kale. And I know kale has gotten a reputation over the last few years as that trendy superfood that people either love passionately or roll their eyes at completely. But here's the thing about kale that transcends all of that noise. Kale is one of the most generous, most forgiving, most productive plants you will ever put in a container. Full stop. Kale is ready for its first harvest in about 55 to 60 days from seed. But here's what makes it truly special in a container garden. Kale keeps producing all season long. You harvest the outer leaves. The plant keeps growing from the center. You harvest again. It keeps growing, over and over and over again. A single kale plant in a 5-gallon container can produce fresh, nutritious leaves for literally months, through spring into summer. And certain varieties, like Lacinato and Red Russian, will even push through into early fall before finally calling it a season. 1 plant, 1 pot, months of harvests, from seeds that cost you maybe 50 cents per plant when you break it down. If that is not one of the best investments you can make this spring, I genuinely do not know what is. You know what I think about when I look at a pot of homegrown spinach or kale? I think about the people in this country who are struggling with food costs right now, who are standing in the grocery store doing math in their head trying to figure out what they can and cannot afford this week. And I think about how a $3 seed packet and a pot of soil could put fresh, nutritious food on their table for weeks. How something so simple could make such a real, meaningful difference in someone's life. That is why I make these videos. Not just for the people who love gardening, but for every person who deserves access to fresh, healthy food and has been told, directly or indirectly, that it's too complicated or too expensive or not meant for them. It is meant for you, all of it, every single pot and seed and harvest. It is absolutely meant for you. And if this video is giving you real value, if you're learning something that could genuinely change how you eat and how you spend your money this spring, then I want to ask you for one small thing in return. Hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on your notifications. Because every single week, I put out content exactly like this. Practical, real, money-saving, life-improving gardening content for people growing food in small spaces. It is completely free, and you deserve to have this information in your life every single week. Subscribe. Don't miss another video. Alright, here is the question for this chapter, and I already know this is going to start a debate. Are you team spinach or team kale? And before you answer, I want you to tell me how you eat it. Raw in a salad? Sautéed in garlic and olive oil? Blended into a smoothie? Baked into chips? Because the way you eat your greens says a lot about you as a person. And I am here for all of it. Drop your answer in the comments right now. Let's see which team wins today. Stop what you are doing right now. Because what I am about to show you in this chapter is going to completely transform the way your food tastes this spring. And I mean that with every single fiber of my being. These 3 herbs right here, basil, cilantro, and chives, are 3 of the most used, most loved, most essential fresh herbs in the American kitchen. And right now, this spring, every single one of them is at peak growing season. Begging to be planted, begging to be grown, begging to end up in your food. And the difference between cooking with fresh homegrown herbs versus dried herbs from a dusty jar that's been sitting in your cabinet since 2021 is not even a comparison. It is a completely different ingredient, A completely different experience, a completely different level of food. 1. Basil, spring's most beloved herb. Let's start with basil, and I want to give you the number that matters most right now. Basil goes from seed to first harvest in just 3 to 4 weeks. Under a month, in a pot, on your sunniest windowsill or patio. Basil is a warm season herb, which means spring is its absolute sweet spot. It loves temperatures between 65 and 85 degrees Fahrenheit. It loves full sun, 6 to 8 hours, minimum. And it loves consistent moisture. Never soggy, never bone dry, just consistently damp. Plant basil seeds about a 1/4 inch deep in a small pot with quality potting mix. Keep the soil warm and moist. Place in your absolute sunniest spot. And within 7 to 10 days, you will see the first tiny seedlings pushing up through the soil like little miracles. And once that basil plant gets going, it is one of the most generous herbs you will ever grow. The more you harvest it, the bushier and more productive it becomes. Pinch off the flower buds the moment they appear to keep the leaves coming strong all season long. That smell. Fresh basil crushed between your fingers on a warm spring morning. There is genuinely nothing like it in the entire world of food. 2. Cilantro, the most controversial herb in America. Now cilantro. And I already know, just from saying that word, that this comment section is about to explode. Because cilantro is the single most divisive herb in the entire American kitchen. You either love it with your whole heart, fresh on your tacos, stirred into your salsa, scattered over your pho, or you think it tastes like soap, and you cannot understand why anyone would voluntarily put it in their mouth. And here's the wild part. If you're a cilantro hater, that is actually a genetic thing. There is a specific gene variant that makes certain people experience cilantro as soapy. So if that's you, it is literally not your fault. Science said so. But for the cilantro lovers, and we are many, here is the good news. Cilantro is one of the fastest growing herbs you can put in a spring container. Ready to harvest in just 3 to 4 weeks from seed. It loves cool spring temperatures between 50 and 70 degrees Fahrenheit, which makes right now the perfect time to plant it. Sow seeds directly into a wide, shallow container. Cilantro has a long taproot and does not like being transplanted, so always sow directly where it will grow. Cover lightly with soil. Water gently. Harvest by snipping the outer stems first, always leaving the center growth intact. 3. Chives, the most underrated herb in every garden. And finally, chives, the most underrated herb on this entire list. And honestly, one of my personal favorites. Chives are ready to harvest in just 4 weeks from seed. They grow in beautiful, dense, clumping mounds of slender, hollow green blades that taste like a mild, delicate onion. And they are absolutely incredible on baked potatoes, scrambled eggs, cream cheese, soups, salads, honestly, almost everything savory you can think of. But here's what makes chives truly special in a container garden. Once established, chives are essentially permanent. They come back year after year. You plant them once, you divide them as they grow, and they just keep giving you fresh harvests, spring after spring after spring. In a world of instant gratification and disposable everything, there is something really beautiful about a plant that just keeps showing up for you, season after season, without being asked, without any fuss. That is chives. Quiet, reliable, generous. Honestly, the friend we all need in our garden and maybe in our lives. And real quick, if you have a friend or a family member who loves to cook but has never tried growing their own herbs, I am personally asking you to share this video with them right now. Not later. Right now. Because the information in this video could completely change the way they cook this spring and every spring after it. Share it, send it, tag them in the comments. Help me get this out to every home cook in America who deserves to have fresh herbs growing in their kitchen. That is how we build something really special together. Okay, the moment we have all been waiting for. The question that must be answered in the comment section today. Are you team cilantro or do you think cilantro tastes like soap? I need a full head count right now. Team cilantro versus team soap? Let's go. And if you're team cilantro, tell me your favorite thing to put it on. This is important. This matters. Drop it below right now. Okay. We are now at the part of this list that I personally get the most excited about because everything we have covered so far, the greens, the herbs, the radishes, Those are all wonderful. But this chapter? This chapter is where your container garden stops being a cute little hobby and starts being a genuine food-producing machine. Because these three plants right here, cucumbers, bush beans, and snap peas, are producers. Capital P, producers. We are talking plants that will literally flood your kitchen with more fresh food than you know what to do with. From containers, this spring, starting right now. 1. Cucumbers, the container crop that over-delivers every single time. Let's start with cucumbers. And I want to address the myth right up front, because I hear it all the time. People say cucumbers need a huge garden space. They need a big sprawling vine. They need a lot of room. Not anymore. Because bush variety cucumbers, specifically varieties like Bush Pickle, Space Master, and Patio Snacker, were literally bred and developed for container growing. Compact vines, huge production, small space requirements. You want a container that's at least 5 gallons. Cucumbers are heavy feeders with vigorous root systems that need room to work. Fill with rich, well-draining potting mix, amended with compost if possible. Plant seeds about an inch deep after your last frost date, or start them indoors now and transplant out in a few weeks. Add a small trellis or bamboo stakes for the vines to climb. This keeps the fruit off the soil, improves air circulation, and honestly makes your container look absolutely stunning on a patio or balcony. Cucumbers go from seed to first harvest in about 50 to 70 days. And once they start producing, they do not stop. A single healthy container cucumber plant in full production can give you multiple cucumbers per week throughout the entire summer season. Fresh, crisp, cool, sweet, straight from your container. That is a completely different vegetable from the waxed, tasteless ones wrapped in plastic at the grocery store. There is simply no comparison. 2. Bush beans, the most productive container crop per square inch. Now bush beans, and these right here, these might be the single most productive container crop per square inch of growing space on this entire list. And I do not say that lightly. Bush beans, unlike pole beans, grow in compact, upright bushes that reach about 18 to 24 inches tall. No trellis needed, no staking needed. Just a container that's at least 8 to 10 inches deep, good potting mix, full sun, and consistent water. Plant seeds about an inch deep and about 3 inches apart directly into your container after your last frost date. Bush beans do not like to be transplanted. Always sow them directly where they will grow. Water consistently. Feed with a balanced fertilizer once flowers appear. And here's the number that gets me every single time. Bush beans go from seed to harvest in just 50 to 60 days. And a single container, just one container, planted with bush beans can produce multiple pounds of fresh beans over its harvest window. Multiple pounds from one pot. Think about what you pay for fresh green beans at the grocery store. $2 to $3 per pound easily. And a single pot of bush beans planted this spring could give you $5, $6, $7 worth of fresh beans or more. From seeds that cost you maybe $1.50. 3. Snap peas, the sweetest, fastest spring surprise. And finally for this chapter, snap peas. And these right here are my personal love letter to spring container gardening. Because snap peas are everything I want in a spring garden plant. They are fast, ready to harvest in just 60 days from seed. They are sweet, honestly one of the most naturally sweet vegetables you will ever eat straight off the vine. They are beautiful, with delicate white flowers that look absolutely stunning climbing up a small trellis in a container. And they are cool season lovers, which means spring is their absolute perfect moment. Plant snap pea seeds about an inch deep and 2 inches apart in a container that's at least 8 inches deep. Give them something to climb. Even just a few bamboo stakes works perfectly. They are light climbers and do not need anything elaborate. And here is my absolute favorite thing about growing snap peas in a container. You can eat them straight off the vine, no cooking, no preparation, just reach out, snap one off, pop it in your mouth, and experience one of the purest, most satisfying flavors that spring has to offer. Sweet, crisp, fresh, alive. That is spring in a single bite. And you grew it. In a pot, on your balcony. Tell me that is not one of the most beautiful things in the world. You know, when I first started growing food in containers, I was honestly a little embarrassed about it. I thought, real gardeners have big yards and raised beds and proper gardens. What am I doing with my little pots on my apartment balcony? And then the first time I harvested a cucumber from a container on that balcony and sliced it up and put it in a salad and sat down and ate it, something in me just settled. Like, this is enough. This right here is more than enough. You do not need a big yard. You do not need a perfect setup. You just need a pot, some soil, some seeds, and the willingness to start. Everything else figures itself out from there. And here is something I need you to really hear right now. Spring planting season has a window. It is not open forever. Every single week that passes without these plants in containers is a week of free food you are not eating. Cucumbers, beans, peas, these are not complicated. They are not expensive. They are not difficult. The only thing standing between you and a container full of fresh free food this spring is the decision to start. Make that decision today, not tomorrow, today. All right, here is the big question for this chapter, and I need the full comment section to weigh in on this one. Which of these three are you most excited to grow in a container this spring? Cucumbers, bush beans, or snap peas? And here's the follow-up question that really want answered. Have you ever grown any of these in a container before? Because I want to know exactly where this community is starting from this spring. Drop your full answer below. I am reading every single one and I will be responding. Okay, I saved the most visually stunning, the most mouth-wateringly beautiful, the most I cannot believe I grew this myself chapter for right here, right now. Because these three plants right here, these three plants are going to make your container garden the most beautiful, productive space you have ever created. And they are going to make every single neighbor, every single visitor, every single person who walks past your balcony or patio stop dead in their tracks and say, wait, did you grow that? 1. Strawberries. The most joyful thing you will ever grow in a container. Let's start with strawberries, and I want to be very clear about something right up front. Growing strawberries in a container is not just gardening. It is joy. Pure, unfiltered joy in a pot. There is something about a homegrown strawberry that is so fundamentally different from anything you will ever find at a grocery store that I genuinely struggle to put it into words. Store-bought strawberries are bred for shelf life, for uniform appearance, for the ability to survive a long, cold supply chain journey. They are bred to look good. But homegrown strawberries? They are bred for absolutely nothing except flavor. They are small and imperfect and sometimes a little lopsided, and they taste like what strawberries are supposed to taste like. Sweet and complex and bright and alive in a way that will make you genuinely angry about every grocery store strawberry you have ever eaten. Oh yeah, that is a strawberry. For containers, strawberries are wonderfully flexible. Hanging baskets work beautifully and look absolutely stunning trailing down from a balcony railing. Strawberry pots, those tall ceramic pots with multiple planting pockets, are perfect for small spaces. Even a standard window box works great. For spring planting, look for ever-bearing varieties like Albion, Seascape, or Quinault. These varieties produce fruit continuously from spring all the way through fall, rather than just one big burst in early summer. Plant in rich, well-draining potting mix. Full sun, at least 6 to 8 hours. Consistent moisture. And here is something really special about growing strawberries that goes beyond just the food. If you have children, or nieces or nephews or neighborhood kids, growing strawberries in a container is one of the most magical experiences you can share with them. Because watching a child's face the moment they pick their very first ripe strawberry from a plant they helped water and tend, and pop it in their mouth and their eyes go wide, that moment, right there, that is worth more than anything I can put a price on. 2. Cherry tomatoes. The most productive container plant in the history of spring gardening. Now, cherry tomatoes, and if you have been following this channel for any amount of time, you already know how I feel about cherry tomatoes in containers. But for anyone watching for the first time, let me be absolutely crystal clear. Cherry tomatoes are the single most productive edible plant you can grow in a container. Bar none, no competition. End of discussion. A single cherry tomato plant in a 5-gallon container, given full sun, consistent water, and regular feeding, can produce literally hundreds of tomatoes over a single growing season. hundreds, from one plant, in one pot. For spring planting, start your cherry tomato seeds indoors now if you are in a cooler climate, 6 to 8 weeks before your last frost date. Or purchase transplants from your local garden center in a few weeks when spring is fully established. Varieties like Sun Gold, Sweet Million, and Tumbling Tom were specifically developed for container growing, and they are absolutely incredible producers. Plant in the largest container you can manage, 5 gallons minimum, 10 gallons ideal. Rich, well-draining potting mix. Slow-release fertilizer at planting. A sturdy tomato cage for support. Full sun, 8 hours minimum. And deep, consistent watering, never letting the soil dry out completely between waterings. Do all of that, and from midsummer through fall, you will be harvesting handfuls of sweet, juicy cherry tomatoes every single day. Every single day. More than you can eat, more than you can give away, more than you ever thought possible, from one pot on a balcony. 3. Mini peppers, the most beautiful productive surprise of your spring container garden. And finally, mini peppers. And these right here are what I like to call the hidden gem of spring container gardening. Because most people are not growing these yet, and the ones who are growing them cannot stop talking about them. Mini sweet peppers, varieties like Lunchbox Orange, Lunchbox Red, and Potapeno, are compact plants that grow beautifully in containers as small as 3 gallons. They produce dozens and dozens of small, sweet, crispy peppers that are absolutely perfect for snacking, for salads, for roasting, for stuffing with cream cheese as an appetizer that will make everyone at your next gathering think you are a culinary genius. Plant in a 3 to 5 gallon container with rich, well-draining potting mix. Full sun. Peppers are heat lovers, and the more sun they get, the better and more abundant their fruit production will be. Start from transplants for the fastest results. Mini peppers take about 60 to 70 days from transplant to first harvest. And here is what I love most about mini peppers in a container garden. They are ornamental and edible at the same time. A pot of mini peppers loaded with colorful fruit in red, orange, and yellow, sitting on your patio or balcony, looks like something straight out of a gardening magazine. It is genuinely one of the most beautiful things you can grow in a small space. Beautiful and delicious and productive, and grown by you from a container this spring. I mean, honestly, what is not to love about that? You know what strikes me every single spring when I look at my container garden coming back to life? I am always amazed by how much abundance is possible in such a small space. A strawberry hanging basket, a cherry tomato pot, a little cluster of mini peppers. It is not a farm. It is not a homestead. It is just a few containers on a balcony. But in those few containers, there is enough color and flavor and life and nourishment to make every single day of spring feel like an absolute gift. And you can have that. Starting this weekend, with a trip to your local garden center and a few pots and some good soil, that is genuinely all it takes. And listen, I know some of you watching right now have been putting this off. You have been watching gardening videos for months. You've been saving pins on Pinterest. You have been adding seed packets to your online cart and then closing the tab without checking out. And I say this with complete love and zero judgment. It is time to stop watching and start growing. Spring is here right now. The window is open right now. Your containers are waiting right now. Close this video, go get your supplies, and come back and tell me in the comments what you planted. I will be here cheering every single one of you on. Okay, here is the chapter question, and this one is deeply personal to me, so I genuinely want your honest answer. What is the one food, the one fruit or vegetable that you have always dreamed of growing yourself but have never actually tried yet? Strawberries? Tomatoes? Peppers? Something else entirely? Drop it in the comments right now. Because I have a feeling that whatever you name, there is a container and a method that makes it completely possible for you this spring. And I want to help you make it happen. Look at this right here. Every single plant you see right here in front of me, every last one of them, can be growing in your home, on your balcony, on your patio, on your windowsill. This spring, starting today. No big yard, no expensive equipment, no years of gardening experience, no perfect conditions. Just containers, just soil, just seeds. And the decision, the simple, powerful, beautiful decision to start. And before I give you your complete action plan for getting your spring container garden started today, I want to say something that I mean with absolute sincerity. Every single person watching this video right now is capable of growing their own food. Every single one. I do not care if you live in a tiny studio apartment in New York City. I do not care if you have never kept a houseplant alive in your life. I do not care if you have tried before and failed. None of that matters. What matters is right now, this spring, this moment, and what you decide to do with it. Okay, here is your exact spring container garden action plan. Step by step, no fluff, no overwhelm, just exactly what to do, starting today. Step 1, pick your 3 starter plants. Not 13, not 10, 3. Start small and build confidence. I recommend green onions, lettuce, and basil for absolute beginners because they are fast, forgiving, and will give you real results within weeks. Write those 3 down right now. Step 2, get your containers ready. Remember, you do not need fancy expensive pots, a yogurt container with a drainage hole, a coffee can, a $2 plastic pot from the dollar store. What matters above everything else is drainage. Always drainage. Water must be able to flow freely out the bottom of every single container. No exceptions. Step 3. Get 1 bag of quality all-purpose potting mix. Not garden soil. Potting mix. This is non-negotiable. Garden soil compacts in containers and suffocates roots. Potting mix stays light and airy and gives your plants the room and nutrition they need to thrive. 1 bag. That is all you need to start. Step 4. Find your sunniest spot. South-facing window? Absolute gold. Sunny balcony or patio? Incredible. Bright kitchen counter near a window? Perfect. No good natural light? A basic grow light for under $20 changes everything. Light is the one thing you simply cannot compromise on. Everything else has a workaround. Light does not. And step 5, the most important step on this entire list. The step that separates the people who have beautiful, thriving container gardens this spring from the people who are still watching gardening videos in July wishing they had started. Are you ready? Just start today. Not this weekend, not next week, not when the timing feels more right or when you have done more research or when life settles down a little. Today. Because the timing will never feel perfectly right. The conditions will never be completely ideal. And every single day you wait is another day of fresh, free homegrown food that your family is not eating. Now, I want to do something really special to close out this video. Something that I think is going to make this comment section one of the most exciting places on this entire platform right now. I am issuing the Spring Container Garden Challenge to every single person watching this video today. Here is how it works. Within the next 48 hours, I want you to plant 1 thing, just 1. 1 seed, 1 seedling, 1 green onion root end in a glass of water, 1 lettuce base in a shallow dish, 1 garlic clove in a small pot. 1 thing. That is the entire challenge. And then I want you to come back to this video right here in the comments section and tell me exactly what you planted and where. Your balcony, your windowsill, your kitchen counter, your patio. Tell me everything. Because I want this comment section to become a living record of a community of people all across America, in apartments and condos and tiny houses and studio spaces, all starting their spring container gardens together. At the same time, in the same community, supporting each other, celebrating each other, growing together. That is what this channel is building. And I want you to be part of it. And if you want to be part of this community, if you want to be surrounded every single week by content that is practical and real and genuinely life-improving, then subscribing to this channel right now is the single most important thing you can do before this video ends. Hit that red subscribe button. Turn on your notifications. Because next week I am putting out a video that builds directly on everything we covered today, and it is going to take your spring container garden to a level you have not even imagined yet. Subscribe right now. Do not miss it. I want to end this video by saying something that I think about every single time I walk out to my container garden in the morning. We live in a world that moves incredibly fast, that demands more from us every single day. That can feel overwhelming and disconnected and exhausting in ways that are hard to even put into words sometimes. And in the middle of all of that, there is something profoundly powerful about slowing down, about putting your hands in some soil, about planting a seed and watching it grow, about nurturing something living, something real, something that asks nothing from you except a little water and a little light and a little attention. Container gardening, even just one pot on a windowsill, is one of the most quietly radical acts of self-care I know. It reconnects you to something ancient and essential, something that the noise and speed of modern life can make you forget you need. You need to grow things. You were made to grow things. And this spring is your invitation. Accept it. If you watched this entire video and you are leaving without subscribing, I genuinely want to ask you one question. What are you waiting for? This content is free. This community is free. The knowledge in this video, the knowledge that could save you hundreds of dollars on groceries this spring and give your family access to fresh homegrown food all season long, is completely free. All I am asking for in return is one click on that subscribe button. One click. That is the entire transaction. Hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and let us grow something incredible together this spring. And one last thing before you go. If this video added value to your life today, if you learned something, if you felt something, if you are already planning your spring container garden, please share this video with one person. Just one. A friend, a neighbor, a family member, someone in your life who you know deserves to have this information. Help me reach every small space gardener in America who has been told they cannot grow their own food. Share this video, and right now on your screen, you will see the next video I want you to watch. It pairs perfectly with everything we covered today, and I promise it is going to be just as valuable. Click it right now. Watch it next, and I will see you there. And before you click that next video, drop one comment below. Tell me which of these 13 plants you are starting with this spring. Just one comment, 30 seconds. Because when you write it down and put it in this community, it becomes real. It becomes a commitment, and this community will hold you to it in the best possible way. I will be reading every single comment. I respond to as many as I possibly can, and I genuinely cannot wait to see what this community grows together this spring. Let us go. Last question of the video, and this is my favorite one of the entire script, so please take a second and actually answer it. If you could step outside your front door right now and pick one thing, one fruit, one vegetable, one herb, fresh and homegrown and completely free, what would it be and why? Your dream harvest, your perfect spring moment. Tell me in the comments, because I have a feeling that whatever you write down, we can make it happen for you this spring. And I want to help you do exactly that. All right, my amazing community, that is 13 fast-growing plants for container gardening that you should be planting this spring for completely free food. Go get your containers, go get your soil, go get your seeds. And remember, every single garden, no matter how big, no matter how beautiful, no matter how abundant, started with one seed in one pot. Yours starts today. Keep growing, keep going. Spring is waiting for you, and I will see you in the next one.